Hello, welcome to Shopkeep's log. I am Zelthius, your fuzzy creature shopkeeper, for the Bainsleaf Retrotech Shop and Arcade, and I did say if I messed up the intro that does make it in. This world's a little bit interesting. I'll talk about it a little bit on the cassette of the day. Just happened to find it by chance, but it's a pretty interesting world for just having as your homeworld. It's not actually my homeworld right now, but it's really great for people who like to kind of world hop and get kind of a world of the day thing. So yeah, this by the way is Shopkeep's log store date 10, I believe. I could be wrong about the number, but honestly, instead of struggling to remember which number we're on, I should probably just stop saying it in the video or something. Who knows? No idea what I'm going to talk about in this one or how long we're going to go. I'm not looking at the timer for these anymore. I used to when I started making these, so I could keep them around 3 to 5 minutes or so. But I feel like that's kind of an arbitrary restriction, and a couple people in the comments kind of also suggested as such when I bring it up in these. There's been a lot of interesting stuff going on as of late. My sleep schedule's entirely flipped around. My sense of time has kind of gone out the window. I got my motorcycle permit, so I'm not learning how to ride a bike because I already knew how to do that. I've had a permit before. I just I didn't renew it. But this kind of format kind of reminds me of moto vlogs. If anyone was kind of in that space on YouTube in like the mid 2010s, I think, with channels like Do It with Dan and I think, oh, who else? Walterific. Those are the two that I really watched a ton of. There were others. I think both of them still make videos. But anyway, it's kind of, the whole format for anyone who isn't really in the know about that is some dude or you know, whatever, someone on their motorcycle with a GoPro just kind of riding around and talking about random stuff. Maybe it's current events, maybe it's just stream of consciousness like what I do. Maybe that ended up being a subconscious inspiration for this. I don't know. I feel like I get a little too sporadic and random in these for it to be in that same like exact category, but it's definitely in style of that kind of thing. When I get my actual full license instead of just the permit, I actually have a GoPro and a mount and stuff all set up for my headphones, my helmet. I just need to figure out a good microphone setup for it. I might actually do some moto vlogging. Who knows? That's one of the things I've been considering. As a guy who's, you know, I was a cyborg, well, not cyborg, like android, I guess, elf creature on the internet when I first started making stuff for realsies. And then one day I decided, you know what? I've been thinking the furry. That's hard to say. Wow, I've been you know, secretly a furry creature, and interested in like the furry community for a real long time. I happened to pick up this model during an event thing. And the licensing terms for it were very permissive, and I feel like it's very representative of my personality, or at least as much of it as like when I close my eyes and think about it, is, if that makes sense. I don't know if 90% of this makes sense, but hey, that's part of the fun of this. If it does, cool. If it doesn't, whatever. Um, but anyway, I feel like mantled beasts, which is what the particular species that I am, really kind of fit my personality, and kind of that there's obviously like seriousness here, but let's be real. Mantled beasts are kind of goofy creatures, you know. I don't know how to explain it other than that, but it's I felt a very strong connection to this particular species because very, very like tech oriented spacefaring species of furry that's very goofy, very expressive, not necessarily with their face, but with their features. Like my ears, they're not animating now, but uh, you know, I have a whole bunch of animations that change the direction of my ears, or fold my ears back, or make my ears cover my face, or whatever. And I don't know. I like that kind of non-verbal communication thing. It uh, makes sense in my brain. But the reason why I bring this all up is because I've been thinking about doing some, like, IRL content. And to do that, I feel like I need to do kind of a face reveal thing. That's something I'm still incredibly nervous about doing, because it's, well, there are a lot of reasons. Privacy, me kind of not really liking how I look, question mark, you know, that kind of stuff. But I've been thinking about it more and more as of late, and more people in my category of content creators, which is VTubing, even though I'm fluffy creature, have also gone to kind of that dual streaming thing where they're just a regular face cam streamer sometimes, and other times they're a VTuber. And sometimes they do face cam stuff for pre-recorded content like this, and sometimes they don't, like, it's pretty versatile. It's becoming a more accepted thing in this space. And I don't mean to imply that I want to do that because other creators are doing it. It's just that it's becoming a more accepted phenomena in the space. And there are certain advantages to it. Not having to put on the headset, and having extra software that has to be running in the background to make everything work, but it has its disadvantages too, like privacy and stuff along those lines. I don't know, it's still a consideration. But it would enable me to do some more interesting content, like working on car and motorcycle stuff. And even then, I could just wear a helmet so you couldn't actually see my face, There's just stuff to think about, I guess. But over the last little bit, I've definitely been strongly considering it. I don't know when or if, but it's more likely to happen than I initially thought. I don't know, I just felt like I needed to talk about that a little bit, I guess, because it's come up in conversation between a few other people as of late. I think it really just boils down to being comfortable with it, I guess. Because being Fuzzy Creature, it feels more okay and expected for me to be silly and goofy and potentially sometimes nonverbal. And I don't know. It's like a more, strangely enough, real version of myself, if that makes sense. I think that's honestly why a lot of people get into the furry community and fursuiting, to be honest. It's it becomes a lot easier to genuinely express yourself when you're not you, you know. Kind of weird to think about when you actually take a second, but it makes sense intrinsically when you're actually getting involved in it. It's easier to be silly and funny and kind of cringe when you're not wearing your own face, I guess. Of course, I could be completely wrong. A lot of people have a lot of different reasons for getting into it, and it's still kind of not as approved by the general populace of the world as I think it should be. But, you know, it's becoming much more demystified as of late. People are starting to recognize that it's not just some weird thing that they saw on some TV show in the early 2000s, and you know, it's a broad community of people with varying interests and a lot of very passionate and intelligent people. But at some point, I also need to be me, the real me, even if I feel more like the real me when I'm like this. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just talking. Uh, Honestly, I'm kind of a little bit like not worn out or burnt out or whatever. It's just that I've been doing an awful lot of talking as of late. Like having to how do I explain this? So as an example, I recently helped one of my good friends build their very first computer on stream. Um on their stream specifically. And that took quite a while. And that's by no means a complaint or anything like that. I had a ton of fun. I really like teaching people about that kind of stuff. If I can sit down and explain mechanics and computers to people, I'm having a good day, you know? But usually that kind of gets to a point where, like, after stream is done, we sit around and talk and whatever. And I've been spending an awful lot more time just talking to other people in this space and exchanging ideas and trying to be vulnerable and authentic instead of putting on a mask and kind of auditing everything I say and how I act and whatever to kind of shave off the weird, rough parts of me that don't really, like, well, maybe people are a lot more accepting of that stuff than I give them credit for, but you know, it's definitely scary to be your genuine, rough, unmolded self around other people. especially when you haven't known those people for long enough to know that they're going to actually kind of, not be weird about it or be weirded out by it, I guess. Which I guess is kind of what I'm doing here. But I hope that this kind of stuff can be inspirational for other people. That it can be something that sticks in their minds to I don't know, this is like pretentious or whatever, but like I think it would be really cool if someone stumbled across this kind of content, maybe even my content, and had like a real like, wow, other people out there are just being vulnerable and authentic. That's something that I can do. I want to be able to inspire other people to be more comfortable with being authentic and not having their mask up all the time. Because it's scary to not have that layer of defense between you and the outside world, that mask, or masks plural, to remove the real you from what you're doing. And I talk about that more often than not, and if it gets old, I'm so sorry. It's just what I'm working on. That's what's in my head right now, along with so many other things. It's just, that's what comes to mind today, and that's probably going to come through on the recording. I apologize, but like I said, this is just unedited. The only thing I do to it is put the subtitles on there. And speaking of which, this whole thing has given me a profound respect for editors who put subtitling and time the subtitling and animate the subtitling. Because at least in DaVinci, and I don't have the professional version of DaVinci. I'm doing most of this like manually and with various third-party tools to make my workload a little not like taking hours and hours to do, but trying to get all this stuff to work in DaVinci and learn how to time the subtitles and adjust things so that they flow naturally on the burned in subtitles is a ton more work than I had initially anticipated when I first started making this stuff. So yeah, the last one of these that I made was like 15 minutes long, and that was kind of like the wow, people do this for like hour-long videos, 2-hour-long videos. This is insane. That's a lot of dedication to the craft. And yeah, my Noggin notepad has run out of things to talk about, but yeah, I guess that's all that I can think of to talk about in this Shopkeep slog today. Thanks for sitting with me and listening to me yap about a whole bunch of random stuff. I appreciate y'all very much. I hope you have a wonderful day whenever this finds you, and I will see you in the next one.